Hey, honey.
Yeah, what's up?
Hey, everybody. I'm Fed, and this is Retro Review, review show where we go through my copious amounts of out-of-print gaming books, magazines, and other gaming paraphernalia one at a time. And to keep me from rambling, we have Laura.
Hey, everybody. So I'm going to ask a list of questions to keep us on track.
Sounds good.
So, what are we reviewing tonight?
Dragon Magazine, number 194. This is the 17th anniversary issue of Dragon Magazine. And because it is the June anniversary issue, it is dragon themed.
Okay. And let me guess, this came from...
Eagle Hill, Stamps and Coins in Presque Isle, Maine. Which, if you saw my Wars Wednesday of buying up all the Star Wars CCG cards in northern Maine, that was one of the places I went and was able to find some of those cool cards I showed off on the Wars Wednesday.
Cool. Okay, you want to give us a quick synopsis of the articles inside?
The first one is an editorial called Free, Proud, and 17. It was written by Roger Moore. I don't believe that Roger Moore, the James Bond. I think it was a different Roger Moore. On the subject of the Satanic Panic, which is basically when the 80s and 90s, all the churches were like, D&D is the devil! So, and he was listening, so for all of our younger viewers out there, FM radio is like the radio that you just listen to and it plays ads and it's free and you don't have to subscribe to anything. It's kind of like Pandora, but there's no skip button. And it works without Wi-Fi. So...
Your parents might have it in their car.
Yeah. So Roger was just, as you do with an FM station, instead of hitting the skip button, he hit the search button because he's like, I don't like what's on here. I'm going to go find out what's on a different station. And he was cycling through and he came across a Christian fundamentalist radio station that was calling for the boycott of the movie Beauty and the Beast, which came out in '93. Because it promotes black magic and werewolves.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. It was a crazy time in the 90s. People thought that black magic and werewolves and demons were all real. Mm-hmm. And you could easily get them from Disney and Dungeons and Dragons.
Wait, aren't they real?
This is a review show, not a metaphysical show. We'll save that for a different time.
Let's stay on topic.
Well, I actually had to keep you from rambling. Dragon Dogfights. This is a very simple miniatures game. It's only got like a couple pages in it, where you can actually use your dragon miniatures to actually do a cool little to do cool little dragon fight scenes. Take something dull, make it more active. I totally like these ideas of having these small little mini games you can play inside the D&D game. Be like, okay, we're going to toss the D&D rules out the window for a section, and we're going to play out these it's perfect if you got dragons attacking the city, and there's like a defender dragon that's defending the city. Like you're having like this huge epic D&D game. Your character's in the middle of the city being attacked, and you're like, okay, in order to find out what happens with the dragons in the air, you guys are going to control these 3 miniatures. I'm going to control these 3. We're going to play this little mini game. This is the dragon aerial battle. Then we'll go down to the ground. We'll bust out the D&D minis or the armies of Warhammer fantasy minis. We'll play that game, figure out how the big battle goes, what's going on outside the city, and then we'll do our own inside the city fight and how these 3 tiers. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, that is.
The Dragon Project. It's a mini-series column. It's all about dragons for non-D&D games. They covered some stuff for groups and paranoia, which the stuff for groups, they gave a con man and his dragon buddy, and what they would do is they'd go and they'd scout out villages that had a lot of money, and the con guy and the dragon would attack, and the con guy would be like, I can get rid of this dragon for you. And then they fake the fight of killing the dragon. Wait, was that in Dragonheart? Like the second Dragonheart movie? That was what they were doing? They were going around pretending that he was killing? I think that's actually where they might have got that idea.
Or where Dragonheart
Or got the idea. But anyways, so yeah, they're basically a con artist and a dragon robbing people blind. The other one was for the Dragon Bot for the game Paranoia. I've never played this game. For what I gathered from the article, you live in a giant mechanized city that has an AI that does stuff to keep humans occupied. And it creates different random threats that the humans have to go and take care of. It sounds a lot like it was inspired by Red Dwarf, where basically the computer pretended to be senile in order to create dangers to keep the human crew occupied, because it's the last human left alive hologram and an evolved cat person. And and a cleaning droid. And the computer was just like, I'll just mess around and give them wacky fun stuff to do.
Stuff to do.
Yeah, so
keep occupied.
If anybody knows where I can find a copy of Paranoia, or if you got a copy of Paranoia you'd like to donate to me, yeah, get in touch with us. And we'll talk. The Day of Dread, Green Slime Eaters and other news. The No Worlds Gwynrar as a column answering questions about original Dungeons and Dragons. The Day of the Dead is an event from the Wrath of the Immortals adventure where all magic is turned off. It would be a nasty event to have happen in a game, and reading that whole blurb about the questions they all had about what happens with these different magical items really makes me go, I really need to run, because that's from the Beckme series of adventures when you get into the Immortals where people are starting to become gods. I'm like, I'm actually interested in that campaign setting again. Breaking them in, 3 tips on handling new players. This article talks about having one-on-one time to basically, which is something you should do with all your players, just to check in, see how the game is going for them, what stuff they like, what stuff they didn't like. 'Cause usually asking people that at the end of a game session, they might not be wanting to share. So that one-on-one time is really good, even for experienced players.
That's not dragon themed.
It's a bunch of the other articles were all dragon themed. We'll get back to some dragon type stuff.
So it's not like the players are dragons.
Right.
But they could be.
Yeah, I think we got through we might have gotten through all the dragon stuff, because it's...
So it's just like lots of dragon stuff.
Oh yeah,
some other stuff.
There's a good dragon theme going throughout the issue.
Okay.
Another strategy for preparing new players is to emphasize preparedness. Basically, like, reminding everybody, hey, bring your dice, bring your character sheet. You're probably going to need this, 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 and this.
And be on time.
And be on time. Oh, be on time. And another tip for helping new players get into the game is assigning a mentor player, somebody who's like able to help them out. I really like this, where if you have an entire group of new players and you have one person who's been playing for a while, let them be a few levels higher so their character in game can also fill that mentor role. Then the next article is the Sage Advice. It's the FAQ column that Dragon Magazine has. It included some missing maps for the adventure Greyhawk, Ray the Traitor, and then answer some other questions such as, yes, a thief can hide in shadows and move silently to to avoid the undead unless they have special senses. So yes, you can hide in shadows and move silently in order to avoid the zombies, unless they're magical zombies that have like life sense.
That's good to know.
Also, good thing to know, elven spaceships for the Spelljammer setting do not produce enough oxygen just from being living wooden ships, unless it's like a derelict spaceship, elven spaceship that's overgrown and gotten really big, then it probably might have an atmosphere.
Also good to know.
Oh yeah. There's a fake newspaper inside of this magazine as an ad.
Fake news.
Well, they made up.
Fake news.
Still, it's a great little thing you can use as a player handout. It's just an ad for the for Game Underground by Mayfair Games. It's a cyberpunk-style, near-future sci-fi game with elements of Judge Dredd in it, where people are getting implants and mutations, and there's gunfights going here, there, and everywhere.
That's cool.
Everybody's dressing up like punk rockers from the 90s and 80s. Lots of leather, lots of studs, lots of mohawks, lots of chains. Gamma Terra is article about new mutations for characters in the Gamma world. Basically, they're like new mutations that give powers. So think X-Men. Some of the ones I thought were kind of cool. Material transformation, which is you can turn rubber to glass or cloth to metal or Coke into Pepsi. I have always loved having that kind of power. I actually had a DC superheroes character named Quick Change. He was able to run really fast, but he could also change something into something almost like it. So that's why I call him Quick Change. He'd be like Coke into Pepsi, or he'd just change his clothes. So the color of the clothes would just match, and like logo and stuff would match his super suit.
That could be very convenient.
Yeah. Another one they had for power, darkness creation allows to absorb light. And
It's like Dumbledore's.
yeah, the little deluminator.
Yeah.
And shape change into object. So basically, Wonder Twin powers activate form of mop bucket.
And there's a mop bucket.
And then one of them turns into a mop bucket, and the other one turns into eagle, and they stop the forest fire. Super Friends was it was not very highbrow cartoon. Campaign Journal is a column. The title for this one was Slave Hunters and Silt Sailors, new character kits, pre-made backstories with bonuses and drawbacks for the Dark Sun campaign setting. It's an Arabian Nights themed adventure. I like the Chronicler kit at all of these. Collectors of ancient lore and artifacts with a head full of historical facts and trivia, just like somebody who knows a lot about all sorts of different crazy cool magical items in history. Again, I didn't play the Dark Sun campaign setting. I don't really know it all that well, so not
Is
really.
this like the Dark Sun, like child, or sun like
The sun, like
the celestial?
you're in a desert, and using magic drains the life force out of things around things, and can possibly using magic without something to draw the life force from to use it will deal damage to yourself. Like you have to use life force. You have to sacrifice things in order to cast spells.
Yeah, remember
So
like in
dark sun.
like in The Witcher with the witches.
And
And like, what's her name was like, sometimes the best thing a flower can do for you is die.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Totally. But that on an extreme case. The next article is the Game Wizards column. This one details the new game Bug Hunt. They're just like giving like a blurb about it because it's coming out, trying to build some interest. To me, it sounds like a cross between Aliens and Monster of the Week. So, not really interesting. If you played Bug Hunt, leave a comment down below. It kind of sucked where they went from like talking behind the scenes in Game Wizards to, like, I like the Game Wizards articles where they talk about the behind the scenes and how to build and design stuff. When they're just blatantly like, yeah, we wrote an article that's basically just an ad for this thing that's coming out. I'm like, skip.
Yeah.
Bazaar the Bazaar, it's the monthly column of new magical items. This month's theme for it is the Tensor's Bottling Company Incorporated. So it's all about bottles and bottle-related items. So you have Tensor's Tantalus Magical Floating Drink Table. You have a bottle of preservation. So basically it's a pickling bottle or a refrigerator bottle or anything you put in there will just stay good forever.
That'd be super convenient.
You have a bottle of trapping. So if somebody goes to drink out of it, they get sucked into it. So it's like the flask from Little Nicky. You have a ship in a bottle. In case of water travel, break bottle. You just smash, it's a little ship inside the bottle. You smash it on a pier, the ship falls out, and...
So does this like only be good for one time, or can you like...
I think it's good for one time. It's a one-time use and you got a ship.
So like save it for when you really need
when you really,
ship.
really need a ship. But pretty sure you could probably find like, wonder if you can find like a wizard that can be like, I'm gonna shrink the ship, put it back in the bottle for you. You gotta go hire the wizard that you bought the ship and the bottle from so they can recast the ritual and put it back in the bottle.
I mean, that'd be a good business deal. If
Rebottling ships.
Yeah.
Yeah. And smoke of fire quenching. Basically a glass orb that you throw at a fire and it just into a fire extinguisher. I could see so many cool uses for those things in D&D games. Like fighting a lot of fire elementals or fire-breathing dragon. You wait for the dragon to start breathing fire and you just huck one of those, shatter off his back molar. That'd be cool.
Not for the dragon.
No. There was a second Game Wizards column in this, and this article was announcing the Dragon Strike board game, the one that had the VCR tape, that you play the VCR tape while you're playing the game, because those were all... This issue's got a lot of dead technology that many of you young kids are watching this, or people in the future are not going to know what the heck that is, but...
Yeah, Google what a VCR is if you don't know. And
I actually like this second Game Wizard article more than I like the first one because he did talk a lot about Bruce Nesmith. Was the designer of the game, and he was talking a lot about the behind-the-scenes crisis they had during production because they kept getting notes from upper management, like, can you do this, and we need this, and we need this, and it's just like, sure, we can make that happen. Late, a bunch of late nights. Okay, made it work. Yeah, but we need you to rush on doing all the rest of the stuff. Yeah, so it detailed the frustration of trying to get that project off the ground and out in time. With a Bond of Magic article talking about the new way to make magical weapons by bonding an element, material or essence into the shape of a weapon. So you're taking a fire and pulling that like up into the air and willing and shaping the fire into a whip, or actually taking someone's shadow and pulling on it and forging it into a dagger. I was like, that is so cool, the way to actually make something for a weapon. So there's essences, cool essence to forge weapons from are fear. So you can actually take persons who experiencing immense amount of fear and then pull that fear out of them and shape a fear-based weapon.
So are they still afraid?
No, it sucks the fear out of them and puts it into a weapon. And when you hit somebody with the fear weapon, it weakens their morale. Like makes them they have to save versus the fear, or panic and not want to fight or run away. Time, which if you forge a weapon at a time. When you hit somebody, it will actually age them for 5 years.
Oh wow, that's
So it's like, what are you gonna do with that dagger? It doesn't deal enough damage to kill the dragon. It's like, stab it. It got bigger. Hang on, I have a plan. Stab, 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 and then the dragon dies of old age. Oh, and another one that they had for essences was musk. Basically, it acts as if the basically just this nasty foul stench weapon that you hit somebody with, and they're just, it's like they got sprayed in the face by a skunk. Blinding, weakening, sickening. It's like, oh, there's some really cool stuff in there. The next article is Through the Looking Glass. That is the miniature themed issue, part of the issue, which is just ads for old cool minis. Still, and editor Fen is going to pop this up on the screen. The dark elves and spiders in this issue look really cool. Just so they got some more time to look at them, I'm going to pull the issue out and have Laura take a look at it. Yeah. Yeah, look, the girl and the spider, and then the dude riding the spider, like those two minis, those were definitely cool. Wish I could find some of those. I'm gonna have to look up and see if, I think they're Ral Parfa ones, which means they might have gotten, I think Ral Parfa's sculpts, or at least stuff inspired by them, went over to Reaper miniatures, because I think I've seen some of the ones in these issues that are talking about the Ral Partha ones, and I know I have that many, but it wasn't Ral Parfa, it was Reaper, so
I'm sure they're around somewhere.
Around somewhere. If not, I can eBay search for some of them. There were some really cool ones. Yeah, that is all for this issue of Dragon Magazine. Okay,
so which of these articles are you going to be giving?
I really want to keep the two magical item sections. I think those two are, and the Dragon Dogfights minigame. I think those are the three things I'm planning on keeping out of this.
Okay, cool. Well, that's all my questions.
Yeah, that's all I've got. I asked a few during the episode, so if you got, anybody knows where I can find a copy of Paranoia RPG, let me know, and we'll see you next week. Peace.
Bye, everybody. Hey, everybody. Thanks for staying till the end of the episode. Remember to like, share, subscribe. Follow us on Facebook at Board Barista Productions. And if you want to support us, Patreon link at the bottom.